Hi everyone, welcome to Northern Zen Yoga. My name is Sandra. Today we're going to be working on these hips. We're really going to focus on getting a good stretch and trying to move the hip joint around to its full rotation. And I know that as we get older, and especially as we get older, we tend to not move around as much, and so our hips tighten up. But not even older people get problems with their hips. People who have jobs where they sit a lot in a chair at an office, those people also can start to experience a tightening of the hip joints. It's simply because you're not moving the hips all the time in the fashion that they were designed. And so it's natural that things start to shorten up and tighten up in the hip area. So I'm going to take you through a few of the hip stretches that we haven't done yet that might be a little more challenging. However, I want you to do what you can do and not try to look like me and not try to be exactly perfect in this posture or go as low or as deep as you might see myself, or if you're in a yoga class, somebody else doing the same practice. So try to go within your range of movement. We never want to experience pain, achy stretch. Yes, that's what we want to go for. But we never want to feel any sharp, sudden pains in our joints. So watch what you're doing. Take yourself to that stretchy point, but don't push it too much further. As long as you're feeling it in yoga, you're doing it. And as you progress in this and you practice these movements, you'll start to see yourself loosen up in the hips, and then you can start taking yourself a little further, a little deeper into the practice. But for now, just do what you can do and nothing more. Now, we're going to need a blanket, and we're going to need a block. And you might want to have a strap too. That's always handy to keep by in case you need a little bit of assistance in getting yourself moving. But in any case, we're going to begin, as we always do in yoga, by sitting in our seated position, Sukasana. And you can have a blanket handy to sit up on, or if you'd prefer, you can sit on your block. I don't like sitting on the block. I find it's a little bit too hard on my bottom. But getting the hips up a little higher right off the bat is going to allow your hips to open up a little more. Now, you may not flatten out as much as me. I was never here in the beginning. This was me in my Sukasana pose 8 years ago. And slowly, as the years have progressed, I've come down a lot lower. It'll happen for you too, as long as you're persistent and don't give up. So here we are in Sukasana. We're going to sit quietly for a few moments, focusing on the breath. Pranayama is a very important part of the yoga practice. Breathing in and breathing out completely. A lot of times when we breathe, we only breathe to here. This is our natural inhale and exhale, and everybody does it. I do it. I find myself doing it sometimes too. But we need to start to practice breathing into the belly, push the belly out. Belly out means you've pulled your diaphragm down and you've opened up the space under the diaphragm for the lungs to completely expand and take in air. And as we exhale, we push the diaphragm back up to help us to push all of the air, even the air down in the very bottom of our lungs, out. And therefore, once all that air is out, naturally, when we take our next inhale, we'll take a deeper breath that will go down lower because of a mechanism called Bellows Breathing. So let's take the inhale now, just naturally, don't go too deep yet, and exhale. Let your shoulders relax, and exhale. Close your eyes, inhale, and exhale. Begin to notice your body where it's touching the floor, or your cushion, or your blanket. Keep breathing. And now as you breathe, try to take that breath down just a little deeper. And let it go. Feel the air passing through your nostrils as you inhale and exhale. Now we're going to take a big breath right down to the belly. So we're going to push the belly out. You want to put your hand by your belly so you can feel it move. You can do that. So inhale, push the belly out, hold your breath for a second, and then slowly release. Inhale again. Hold the breath, exhale slowly. Inhale. And this time as we exhale, we're going to constrict our throat slightly. You'll notice you make a sound. Sounds a little like the ocean. Exhale. Keep breathing at your own rhythm. Inhaling right into your belly. Just hold it for a heartbeat and then constrict the throat and exhale. Inhale and exhale. One more time. One more long, slow, deep breath all the way down. Let's hold it for the count of 4. Constrict the throat. Breathe out. So throughout the practice, try your best to recognize that form of breathing and bring it into your practice whenever you can, whenever you notice you're only breathing shallow breaths to here. And we're going to move with our breath now. So inhale, bringing the arms up. Exhale, bringing them down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Let's move our head with our arms. So inhale up, look up. Exhale, chin to chest. Inhale up, look up. Exhale, chin to chest. Bringing the arms down. Let's hold the arms here and stretch. Keep breathing those lovely deep breaths. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Reach for each side of your mat. Feel the stretch right across your shoulders. We're going to rotate our palms forward. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, move the arms back, bringing the shoulder blades toward each other. Keep your chin down to your chest. Breathing. And exhale, release. Inhale the arms up. And this time we'll take some side bends. Side bending to the right side. Inhale up. Exhale to the left side. Inhale up. Exhale over to the other side. Once more on each side. Inhale up. And exhale over to the other side. Inhale up. Taking that inhale now, we're going to exhale, twisting to the right. So we're going to keep the belly button forward. That's very important. For now, we keep our chin forward. And we're just going to focus on pushing that right shoulder back. It's very important that from the waist down and from the chin up at this point, nothing is moving. All the movement is happening in your chest area. This is the area that we're twisting. This is the area that's meant to put a twist in your spine. Very, very slowly. Just keep some pressure going as you breathe. Pushing a little bit more until you feel like, oh, I can't go any further or else it's going to be pain. Now you can start to move your chin in the direction of that shoulder. And remember, as you feel the stretch up your neck, don't push it too far. Just, you want to feel that stretch. But you don't want to start to take your neck anywhere where it's going to be painful. So it doesn't matter how far you turn your head. As long as you're feeling it, you're doing it. Let's come back to center. Head first, then shoulders follow. Inhale the arms up. Exhale. Let's twist to the other side now. Pushing the other shoulder back, keeping the belly button forward. If you can stick your finger in your belly button and it's heading out this way, you're doing a good job. Just keep pushing the shoulder back. Resist the urge to start to twist and lean. Okay, we just want to move that shoulder back. We want to get a rotation going in the other direction. And then bring your chin to line up as far as it can in the direction of your shoulder. I like to call this twist, checking your blind spot twist. Driving in the car and you get this movement down as you look over your shoulder to see if cars are behind you. It becomes much easier as you practice this. Let's come back to center. Inhale, raise up the arms. And this time on our exhale, we're going to come forward, bringing our belly into our lap. So reach out, reach out, reach out. Let your belly come down as far as you can. You might be here and you're feeling my hips saying, nope, can't go any deeper. And that's fine. Otherwise, just keep pushing your flatness of your back down, bringing your belly lower and lower. Don't worry about your head. Your head should be up. And we can wiggle here if you like. You can shift, helping those hips to open up just a little more. And down as flat as you can into your lap. Take a deep breath in and hold it for a second, and then slowly exhale. Push a little deeper down as you exhale. Reach out. Let's come up on our fingertips. Take another inhale. Exhale. This time we're going to bring our head toward the arms, between the arms if we can. And if you're still only way up here and you're coming down and that's as far as you can go, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Let's walk the hands back. Inhale the arms up. This time we're going to come behind the back, fingers facing toward us. You can either push your fingertips down, your knuckles down, and if you're able to, you can put your flat hands down. I can't, my arms are too short. So push down into the floor and pull your chest open by bringing the shoulder blades in toward each other. Once you've found your position, we're going to take an inhale, lift up the rib cage. And on the exhale, just let your head relax back. You're going to feel a beautiful stretch from your collarbone up to your chin. Push into the floor, and that stretch will start to come up to the top of the spine. Inhale, exhale, release. So the spine from the rib cage area, it's called the thoracic part of your spine. It can move side to side, it can curve back, and it can curve forward. So we try to keep that movement happening in the rib cage area and not below. Once we start to go from the bottom of our rib cage to our sacrum, which is our pelvic area, we have a lot more pressure on those particular vertebrae, so we try not to overtax them. A lot of yoga in the past put too much emphasis in that area to twist. And so the Chiropractic Society has educated us that we need to keep the twist happening in the place where it's meant to be and not put pressure on vertebrae that are not supposed to over-twist. So now we're in this position. We've done our spinal movements. We're feeling a little more loose. Let's go over onto hands and knees. We'll do a few cat-cows just to keep the back flexible and moving. So in cow, we raise up our hips, push our belly down, look up, so we end up with a bowl in our back. And on the exhale, we curl the spine, tuck the pelvis under, push into our hands like an angry cat. Inhale, drop the spine. Exhale, curl the back. Pull the belly up. Inhale, drop the belly. Exhale, pull it up. Once more. Inhale, exhale. Push all the air out. Push back, push back, push back. As far as your body will let you go at this point, we're going to open our knees up a little further. Keep pushing back, keep pushing into your hands, trying to bring your bottom down to the heels. So you might be here and your legs are saying, nope, no more, no farther, that's all I can do. That's okay. The important thing, though, is that if you can get yourself down fairly low, and when you start to bring your head toward the floor, your bum comes up, you need to stop doing that. That's where you can bring your block in. You can bring, you don't even need to use a block. Just keep your head up and level. Instead, push your belly down in between your legs. Try to keep your bottom as low as you can. Feel that stretch in the knee joint, in the top of the legs. You might even feel the stretch in the back of in the front of your feet, where they're touching the mat. In any case, just come as far as you can. If you're able to bring your head to the floor and you want to add something to this, bring your fingers up on your tips, stretching out the shoulders. One more inhale, exhale, walk your hands back, coming up to an upright position. So we're going to come now into a low lunge. So we're going to bring the right foot forward first, and we're going to place that foot so that we can definitely see our toes. We don't want to have our foot here so that we can't see the foot anymore. And the toes are behind the knee. This is putting too much pressure on your knee joint. So we must be able to, in an upright position, without leaning over, see our toes. Once you're here, we're going to come down toward the floor. Now I'm going to change my position so that you can see what I'm doing from this angle. So I'm going to sidestep my foot out, toe out to the side, heel to line up with it. So my angle now is a little wider than it was before. From here, I'm going to bring my hands in to the floor on the inside. I'm just going to grab my block here because for some of you, this may not be even possible to reach the floor. So if you have your block, you can lean into the block on the high side, on the middle side, or even all maybe you need is the low side. We're going to take the other leg and we're going to start to push the knee back just a little further. And you need to readjust the front leg until you can balance that pressure out. Once we're here, this is called Dragon Pose. We're going to open up our knee to the side. Just a little bit, just rolling on the foot. So if that is not even possible and you're feeling everything here is just about ready to explode, stay here. Don't go any further. Otherwise, we're going to open up that leg and put a little pressure on that hip joint to open it up. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Bring your foot back down flat. Turn your toe back in. Bring your heel to join up with it. And now we're going to push back just as far as we can without lifting up our toes. So our big toe needs to touch the floor. And now I'm going to switch to the side view so that you can see the side view of this. Big toe touching the floor, and I'm pushing back. And again, if you can't quite reach the floor, use your block. Push back, push back, push back. You want to feel the stretch right here in the front of the leg. And you're going to feel a little pressure also happening in your hip joint. So keep pushing back. And now we're going to inhale the toe up. And we're going to straighten our leg out as much as we can to get the hamstrings to stretch. And back forward. We're going to bring that leg back. We're going to take a second and just lay on the floor. And just feel that hip joint compared to the other one. Come back up. And we're going to go to the other side. So now we're going to, you don't have to turn around. I'm turning around so that you can see what I'm doing better. So this time we're going to stretch out and come into the lunge with the left leg forward. So Important things we're looking for. Can I see my foot without having to lean over to see my toes? You should be able to see most of your foot in this posture. From here, once you're set in that position, pressure on your knee is straight down. It's not too far behind you. Turn your toe off to the side and then bring your heel to join up with it so that you're opened up just a little more. Whether you need a block or not, you're going to come down now. Hands to the floor or to the block. And once you feel that you are able to, if you're here and this feels doable, you can roll onto the side of your foot and slide the other leg back. And if you can't get down as low as me, don't even sweat it. Remember the motto, if you're feeling it, you're doing it. Back up, nice and slow. We're going to bring our toe back in toward the center and the heel to join it, so our legs lined up again. And we're walking our hands back, but trying to keep the big toe firmly on the ground. Take a few breaths here. Inhale the toe up, rock onto your heel. Reposition yourself so you feel a nice stretch coming up the hamstrings. And walk your hands forward, bring that leg back, come down to your belly, and take a few breaths here. Feel your legs. Let's come back up into our hero pose position. So in hero pose, we want to put some pressure of on our heels with our bottom, and we want to feel a nice stretch coming up here. So for some of you, this might be very easy. For some of you, very difficult. Remember, you have your block. You can sit with the block between your feet in any level that works for you to help give you that little lift. Some people like to roll up a blanket and put it between their heels and their bottom, just to give them a little bit of a lift up, but still have that cushiness to be able to sink deeper. For others, this might be, like myself, this is not feeling like anything at all anymore. So in that case, what we do is we open our feet up so that we can come down between the heels toward the floor. This puts a lot more pressure, though, on your ankles. So be very mindful when you're doing this. If you're feeling pain actually happening in your ankles, even though the other position was not doing much for your knees, you need to at least have something a little bit underneath your bottom just to cushion you, to lift you up, so that you're lower than your heels, but not hitting the floor and hurting your ankles. Take another breath here. Exhale. Come back up and shake your legs up. Get those ankles working again. So we're going to come into our downward facing dog now so that we can line ourselves up to do a pose called Pigeon Pose. Now I'm also going to give you an alternative for Pigeon Pose. But first I'll get everybody set up for Pigeon Pose who is able to do it by coming into downward facing dog. Inhale, come up, hips up to the air. We'll take our right leg, we're going to shake it up into the air, we're going to bring our knee toward our right wrist and our ankle in the direction of the left wrist. So we want the knee to be just on the outside, close to the edge of our mat, and our leg will be on an angle, any angle that works for your knee. It's important you're not feeling any pressure or twisting in your knee. And then we're just going to scooch our other leg back as far as we can until our belly starts to come toward the floor. And this is Pigeon Pose. For me, this is Pigeon Pose. For many of you, you might still be up here feeling a huge amount of stress in your hip joint. I'm going to show it to you from the front. so that you can see the angle that my leg is on compared to my hands, where my hand position is. So my hands are here, my knee is over here. My foot is over here, across the front. Now you could be here, and you could be out a lot farther than I can go, as long as you are not putting pressure on your knee. There should be no pressure on your knee. As soon as you start to feel that torquing in your knee joint, you need to back it off a little bit and go and put your leg in a position where you feel no torquing. You want to feel all of the pressure up in the hip joint up here. So that's pigeon pose for most of us, but for some of us, we're not there yet. So this is going to be your pigeon pose. Instead, you're going to come down onto your back. We're going to begin with the right leg. And so we're going to bend the left knee, and we're going to bring our ankle up to rest against our thigh bone. And we're going to take our knee, and if it's here and we feel too much pressure, we're going to try to let it breathe there. But if we're not feeling anything, we're going to push that knee until we start to feel pressure. If you get to this point where it's pushed quite far out and you're still not feeling anything, you could start to bring the other knee up toward your chest. This is also called figure 4, but it's really supine pigeon pose. Another way of doing supine pigeon pose is legs stretched out, grabbing the foot and bringing the foot up to the chest. And you can also add your strap in to help facilitate that. So if you're already in pigeon pose on one side and you're on the inverted pigeon pose, proper position for pigeon pose, you can get up now and you can flip over to the other side. Otherwise, let's do this together. I'll do it very quickly. So inhale, bringing the right leg up, bringing it across, knee on the outside edge of the mat, foot headed toward the other side of the mat, scooching our leg back until our belly comes down lower, coming into pigeon pose. And back up. You can stretch that leg out. Let's lift up the other leg, bring that one over. Now the knee is headed toward the opposite side of the mat. Foot is coming in, scooching back, back, back. So your belly comes down low. And back up onto your hands. Stretch that leg back out and come back into child pose. You can have your knees together if you like now, or you can have them apart, whatever feels good for you today. Couple of breaths here. And then we'll come back to a seated position. So we're going to come into another stretch, but in order to do that, we have to do the half and the half first before we come into the full position, and it's called Dragonfly pose. So we're going to begin with our right leg extended out toward the corner of our mat. So sitting sideways on your mat, you can do this the other way, but it's a lot easier to gauge where your leg is in space if you're sideways on the mat. You can sit back, of course, as far as you need to be able to open up. You want this hip to be opened up to the side. The other one is going to be tucked in. Remember, if you're experiencing any difficulty with this leg, you can always put a blanket under here or your block in the way to help keep it from overstretching. We're going to turn our body toward this leg in the direction of the toes. Take a deep breath in. And the important thing here is that we're bringing the belly to the leg and we're not lifting up the bum to do it. So take a deep inhale, exhale, start to press your belly toward your thigh. Try to keep both the cheeks firmly touching. And if you can grab your toes, fantastic. And you can also do an over the arm stretch here. You can reach over and just give your body a side stretch as well while you're at it. If you can only reach to here, and that's enough stress for you today, to bring yourself down toward the leg, that's all you have to do. Don't worry about the rest of it. All the rest of the stuff is just for show. So breathe into this stretch. You want to feel some pressure happening in your back a little bit. As you pull down, there's a nice big muscle and ligaments here that attach to our hip to support us as we walk. So we want to feel those stretch. You're going to feel your hamstrings stretch out. And come up nice and slow. You can also add in the rotation stretch here where you push the heel out and you bring your chest down toward the floor. Make sure you're keeping both of those cheeks on the floor and you're pushing with a lot of pressure your heel away from you and bringing your toes back toward your face. Push, 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 push. You'll feel much more stretching happening up in here, behind the leg, behind the knee joint. Come back up. And we're going to flip sides. So now we're heading in the opposite leg to the opposite corner of our mat. Pushing our heel away from us, foot is flat out. We're going to turn our body, our entire body, toward that foot. Take a deep inhale. And on your exhale, just think about getting belly to leg, not head anywhere. Going down nice and low. Keep both of your cheeks firmly planted down on your mat. Deep breaths, breathing in and breathing out. And again, if you want to be fancy, you can grab your toes, you can put a side stretch in here. Or you can just relax and just let everything get heavy. Inhale, slowly coming up. Turn to the opposite knee, push the heel away, put a lot of pressure there, so your foot is actually trying to turn back toward you, and slowly lower your belly down toward your thigh. Keep both cheeks on the mat, though, that heel away. You'll feel it. If you're not feeling it back here, you're probably lifting up your cheek and you're not realizing it. Come back up nice and slow. Shake those legs out. And now we're going to try the full dragonfly position. So, opening up as wide as we can here. My mat doesn't slide very well because it's a beautiful jade mat. It's extra thick, so you don't slip and slide around on this mat, not usually anyway. Nice wide legs. Now, our head is not going to ever touch the floor. As a matter of fact, we don't want to, because that's defeating the purpose. If you want to curl your back and try to get your head to touch and everything else is still up here, it's not the stretch we want. We want this to be a rotation in the hip joint so that your belly is coming toward the floor. So feel those sits bones. You can feel them when you're rocking back and forth. They're the point that is hitting your mat or the floor underneath you, and you can feel the pressure. So take a deep inhale as you rock back. Exhale as you rock forward and keep pushing that belly down. Now for some people, turning their toes inward helps them to rotate at the hip here, and others turning it backward will do it. Everybody's hips are different. And we're just going to focus on getting the belly toward the floor. So I haven't done this one for a long, long time, and even I'm not getting as close to the floor as I usually can get. I can feel a lot of pressure in here. So I'm going to just take a moment here, take a few breaths. Deep inhale. On the exhale, I'm going to try to roll forward more on the top of my hip and my thigh bones. Taking a deep breath again. Exhale. Inhale. Walk your hands back toward your body. Help your legs to come forward. Shake them out. Loosen them up a little bit. I always like to do the windshield wiper thing with the hips. Takes the pressure off, relaxes them. And now we're going to come into the butterfly pose. So before, mostly I've been doing the cobbler pose. Now this is a little bit different than cobbler. We actually try to get our heels as close to our body as we possibly can. Grab the feet. This is also called the bound ankle pose. So you can see that my knees are not hitting the ground in this position. You're probably more in this position when you're doing this. So don't worry about getting the knees to the ground. Instead, we're just going to start to focus on pressure applied to the legs to push them toward the floor. Take a deep breath in, and we're just going to, as we exhale, flutter our wings a little bit. Relax here. You can inhale again. Exhale, push the knees toward the floor. Hold it here. Take a few more breaths in this posture. Pushing, pushing, pushing. You're going to feel a tremendous amount of pressure across the groin area. Inhale, relax, flutter your wings. Take a deep inhale again. Exhale, push the knees toward the floor. Feel the pressure, feel the stretch. Breathe into that stretch. Nice deep breaths, inhaling. Exhaling. One more inhale. Exhale. And release and flutter your wings. We're going to do this one more time. And just reward yourself by seeing that even if it's a micro movement, you're going to go deeper every single time you do this. So let's inhale, exhale, pushing those knees toward the floor. Breathe. And release. Flutter your wings to relax them. Help your knees up. Shake your legs out. And let's just do that windshield wipering of the legs. Fantastic. Now, just feel those legs. That's because your hips are starting to let go. They're stretched out. They're feeling more relaxed. We're going to come down nice and slow onto our back, and we're going to bring our knees up with us as we come down. And before we go too far, let's grab our block. Make sure you have your block handy. We're going to do something with the block on our back. So let's come down. Keep that block where you can reach it, and just roll on your back. You can do circles with your knees or just side to side, whatever feels good. Relax your shoulders down. Put your arms in a T. Let your shoulders melt toward the floor. And we're going to plant our feet down and we're going to come into supported bridge pose. So you can either use in this posture the very flattest side, or you can use the next side up, but let's not go for this one. This is a bit too much. So whatever one feels good for you today, we're going to lift up our hips and we're going to slide the block in that flat place between our hip bones. So you can see here, I've got a good space between my spine and the floor. but I'm actually sitting on the block, the flat part of my body. It's not on my spine at all. If you have it too far onto your spine, it might be harmful for your back, so don't do that. Instead, push it down to just about on your cheeks of your bottom. So you can stay right here. Make sure your feet are flat on the floor. And you can stay here, and you can just relax, and you can breathe here. This does everything that the other bridge pose position does as far as stretching goes. And we're going to push our knees toward each other so that they're touching. You might feel some muscles activating up here as you try to push your knees together. We don't want our knees wide open. So pigeon your toes toward each other, push your knees in, try to see if they'll touch each other. And what we're doing is we're actually rotating the hip joints for an internal rotation, trying to press those knees together. Our feet are wider apart than our knees are. Breathe. Nice deep breaths. Let out through your mouth if you like to help relax you more. And we're going to let our legs rest. Just relax, let them open up a little bit. Take another inhale. And as you exhale, start to press those knees toward each other. Turn your toes inward to help rotate them. Keep breathing. Don't hold your breath. And release. Let your knees come so that they're straight and not flayed out to the side. We're going to start to lift our feet up off the floor here. So come onto a modified shoulder stand. So a shoulder stand is a position that is, if not done properly, can do more damage than it can good. So in gentle yoga, we like to do it on a block to make sure that our alignment from our hip up to our feet is pretty good and our back is nice and relaxed. So if you like, you can stretch out your arms here. If you feel a little nauseous, just take some deep breaths. It's just because if you haven't eaten and you're doing yoga, sometimes your stomach will feel a little flip-floppy because it's being pushed in a different direction right now. But take a few deep breaths. And just let it go. If you like, if you want to, you can press your heels up and point your toes, changing the position of the blood flow by pumping your legs a little bit. You can also open your legs up nice and wide. This will actually stretch out your hips. And inhale, bringing them in. So let's do some of that. Let's open up. We'll hold it here for a count of 3 and then pull them together. And if you can't do this, don't worry about it. Just do what you can do. Let's count to 4. Inhale back. And let your legs fall out. Let's count to 5. Bring them back. One last time. Let's count to 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and a half, 10. Bring them back. Very, very slowly, we're going to drop the feet to the floor. We're going to come off our block, and I want you to come down nice and easy. Try not to drop too fast. Try to control the descent down your back. Inhale, lift up just enough to pull that block away. And as you exhale, slowly bring your back down till you get flat on the mat. And you're going to feel it's not flat. So we're going to bring our knees up and we're going to roll on that spine until we get it nice and flattened again. Wind your feet apart so that they're on either side of your mat or off the mat completely. And then let your arms roll out to the side, and we're just going to let the legs shift over to one side together. Come back up. and to the other side. Do this nice and slow. It's called windshield wiping, but let's not have them on fast speed. Let's take our time. I want you to feel where you feel things twisting and moving. Feel those hip joints moving as you drop one leg down and bring the other leg back up. Take a deep inhale, and we're going to exhale and just let things relax down here. Try to keep both cheeks, try not to roll, or at least both shoulders touching. Let your knees drop over to the side together. Take an inhale, bring them back up. And on the exhale, let's let them go to the other side together. And inhale them up. Bring your knees up to your chest. Let's just roll on our back. We're going to drop our right foot to the floor. We're going to place our left ankle against our thigh bone. And we're going to pull our arms out to a T. And we're going to bring our foot down toward the floor. Try to keep both shoulders touching down onto the mat. And let that foot come down. Now, if your foot doesn't quite make it, this is where your block comes in handy. You can bring your block from any side you like. And as long as you're feeling a nice twisting happening in your hip joint, you're okay. You should be feeling most of the pressure in the bent knee, hip. Let's inhale the leg back up again. We're going to switch sides. So that leg goes down, this leg goes over, and we're going to drop that foot down to the floor. Keeping both shoulders touching down. You're going to feel the pressure right here. So if you need your block to release some of that pressure but still feel it, go ahead. Put the block there. Take deep breaths. Inhale, come back up again. Both feet on the floor. Let's bring our knees up to our hips and just rock and roll here. And now you can stretch yourself out, getting ready for Shavasana. So Shavasana can be as long as you like. I'm going to give us a 5-minute Shavasana, and I'm going to do a meditation throughout the Shavasana time. But if you feel like you would rather have a longer Shavasana, you can just put this on pause, time it out for another 5 minutes perhaps, so you have a total of 10 minutes, and then come back to the video. But let's take a deep breath in. Exhale. Just let your body relax. Let your feet flop. Feel how loose you're feeling now at the hips. You might feel some achiness. That's a good thing. Just relax here. I'm going to be sitting upright. I'm not going to be in the Shavasana with you. I'm just going to talk you through it. And I'm going to lead you through a meditation called the Magic Tree meditation. So I'm going to get myself set up here while you keep breathing, taking deep breaths, inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. Inhaling and exhaling. Nice, deep, cleansing breaths. Every breath is helping you to relax and to melt down deeper into your mat. Let your shoulders relax. Let your body just melt. Let your jaw relax. Let your tongue fall away from the roof of your mouth. Let your eyes feel heavy and sink back into your head. Imagine yourself on a beach. You're walking along the beach. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful sunny day. The air is the perfect temperature. And you can feel the breeze as it blows against your skin. You can hear the sound of the seagulls crying off in the distance. And as you walk along the beach, you come across a path leading in toward a forest that lies just away from the ocean. The grasses are very tall here as they move toward the forest, changing from sea oats to wildflowers. And as you walk along this path, you're coming closer and closer to the forest. You can still hear the sounds of the birds, but now they're changing to the sound of meadow birds calling to each other. The sound of the insects as they buzz past you. You can smell the smell changing from the smell of salty sea air to that of warm, scented flowers as you pass by. And at last you reach the entrance to the forest. The tall trees surround you as you wander along the path, becoming thicker and denser as you go farther and deeper into the forest. The smells are changing now. The smell is a smell of green, cool, crisp, woodsy. The smell of leaves decaying. The sounds are changing as well. Now you hear the sound of birds calling. The calls are much fainter. The temperature has changed. Where before you were warm, now you're feeling the coolness of the canopy of trees, blocking out the sun. And as you walk along this path, you suddenly see ahead of you an animal. You're not afraid. This animal does not frighten you, nor do you frighten it. Instead, this animal chooses to walk along the path with you. Keep following along the path, your animal and you, until you reach a clearing, a circle of trees around one great tree. You start to move toward that tree, and as you walk toward it, you realize how large and tall and wide it is. You notice this tree is so large and so wide that it has a door on the side of its trunk. You reach out and you try the door. It opens. Cautiously you walk in. The light from outside reveals on a little shelf a candle and a candle holder and a box of matches. You take the candle and holder and light it with a match. As the light from the candle illuminates the interior of the tree, you notice there's a staircase that is going down deep into the ground. You follow along the staircase. The staircase takes you deeper and deeper into the ground. And when you reach the bottom, there, the very bottom of the stairs is a room. A room with a table and 2 chairs. And at one of the chairs sits someone who you know. You haven't seen this person in a very long time, and you're so happy to see them. So you walk carefully over with your candle to the table, set it down, and you take the other chair and join this person at the table. There's a pot of tea waiting, and this person pours both you and themselves a cup of tea. And now you sit and you talk. And I'm going to leave you here in conversation with this person for a few moments so that you and them may speak privately. When it's time to come back, I'll ring the bell. It's time to come back now. So you take up the candle, you say goodbye to the person you were talking with. And you start heading back up the staircase, back up to the door that leads into the forest. Blow out your candle, set everything back in its place on the shelf, and come back out into the daylight. It seems so much brighter now, even though we're still inside the forest. Shut the door, and you notice that the animal that followed you down the path is waiting for you. And together you start to travel back along the path toward the beach. And like before, as you travel, things begin to change. Things become less dark, less muted. Sunlight begins to follow through the trees as they thin out toward the beach. And as you begin to emerge from the forest, you turn back toward the animal that has followed you. And you know now that this animal is important to you, and that it will always be with you, and will wait for you whenever you need it to help you. You say goodbye. Goodbye for now. And you start walking along the path now through the field, feeling the sun on your skin, hearing the sounds of the ocean getting closer and closer with each step. Reaching the sea oats, you climb over the dune and back onto the beach. And here we begin to wiggle our fingers and our toes, starting to wake up the body. Give yourself a nice long stretch. Stretch it out. Bring your knees up to your chest. Give yourself a big hug. And just take a moment here before you roll over onto your side. And when you do, roll over to the side that feels most natural for you. It doesn't really matter. Whatever side feels good. And then take a couple more breaths here. Just reflect back on the meditation you just experienced. knowing that you can go back to that place anytime and speak with that person or maybe someone else who you haven't spoken to in such a long time. Come back up to a seated position. Sit back on your blanket or pillow. We close our class now with the chanting of Om, just one Om. We'll inhale, exhale, and then inhale for Om. So let's inhale, exhale completely, inhaling for Om. Om. Rub your hands together, generating some beautiful energy, some prana. Think of all the places we've stretched. Think of those hips. They're probably even aching as we speak. Place your palms over your closed eyes, and as you breathe in, open them and send that energy right into that place. On your exhale, palms to ceiling, sending the energy back to the universe. Pick up a small piece, bring it back to your heart center. Namaste. If you enjoyed today's practice or any of the practices I have, please press subscribe on your page, and that way you'll be notified whenever I have a new video come out. Bye for now. Tell your friends. Namaste.